Hey guys, my name is Dominic Flux, and today I'm here with Lauriane Lugnet. She's an FGA and GIA gemologist, and we're going to be doing garnets, but not just any type of garnets, because I know you guys all know the very common, Almandine garnet, the very red. I wanted to do something a little bit more interesting, so we have some Demantoid Garnets, Spessartite, Tsavorites, color change. So we're going to dive deep into some of these cool garnets that are a little bit less known.
So first I want to start with a big misconception around garnets. So you usually have, family with gemstones. You have the tourmaline family, you have the corundum family with the ruby and the sapphire. Garnets are not a family, it's a group. And it's not considered a family because they don't exactly have the same chemical composition. So it's a group with all the gemstones that have a similar composition, but not exactly the same. So the element that colors the garnets changes its chemical composition, making it a group instead of a family. Mm-hmm. So that's already one big misconception we're gonna put aside. So where do you want to start? With the colors that you can have?
Yes, we can go over colors, and I'd really like to do the Demantoid.
Okay. So the Demantoid, for those who don't know, is around the green colors in the garnet. It has a world famous inclusion called the horsetail inclusion. So it's they're called the little trichite inclusions. It's golden needle-like inclusions inside the stone that have the shape of the horsetail. Mm-hmm. And it was a diagnostic inclusion a few years ago, but not anymore today, because It was discovered first in Russia, that inclusion, and it made the stone pretty popular and pretty expensive when the inclusion is beautiful. But today you can find it in Canada, rarely, because the Jeffrey mine is closed. And you can also find it in Pakistan, and that one's more recent discovery. But the horsetail inclusion in the Demantoid is what makes the stone expensive. And you can have forest green colors, you can have pale green colors, you can have yellowish greens, brownish greens. Mm-hmm. The quality you want is the green with a little bit of yellow, or forest green with the horsetail inclusion. I'm not gonna say it enough.
Yeah. No, but it's quite striking. Like, we're gonna pull up images so you can really see the difference, because I think there are other types of garnets that have the more rutile inclusions, the lines. It's not that. It's really looks like a horsetail.
Yeah, you have a lot of garnets with all the colors that have small needles in it. Mm-hmm. It's not that. You want the golden needle shaped all together like a broom or a horsetail, and that's what gives it the price. You can have some Demantoid garnets going up to $20,000 to $50,000 per carat when you have some big stones. So, and if the inclusion is in the middle of the stone, all the better. Mm-hmm. If it's not included, you're gonna go back down to maybe 300 per carat, 400 per carat for Demantoid with no inclusions. So it's an expensive garnet compared to the red one, but not that much if you don't have the right inclusion.
Yeah, and is it a stone that you can find over 2 carats? No, eh? It's usually around a carat and under.
You can.
Okay, you can.
You can, and these are the most expensive. And the ones that are 2 carats and over with beautiful inclusions are the Russian ones.
Okay.
And that's a bit complicated at the moment to get.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing about garnets is that they have some, depending on which type of garnet you're looking at and which color and which variety, they have different hardnesses. Mm-hmm. And different hardnesses mean different reflection on the surface, different refractive index, different dispersion. Mm-hmm. And what I want to bring with all that is that, let's say the Demantoid Garnet, the first stone we talked about, has a higher dispersion than diamonds. So it's going to shine way brighter than a diamond, but it's going to be a mint green to a forest green. But the stone, you're going to see it in 2 kilometers. I mean, it's going to shine. And people often think that it's a fake diamond or an irradiated green diamond, but no, it's a Demantoid. It has a higher dispersion than the diamond. Some of them have a lower dispersion and a lower hardness. So if you check some of the stones, let's say the red Pyrope Almandine Garnet, it's going to be a hardness of 6.5 to 7. But if you check the other stones, you can go up to 7.5 in hardness. So it's one of the only stones, and that's why it's called a group and not a family, that have different hardnesses in between themselves. So the garnet is going to go from 6 to 7.5. And same thing for the refractive index, same thing for the dispersion. Different colors and different types are going to have different dispersions.
But even just in terms of like the brilliance, when I was doing my research, a lot of them had even higher, like just refraction index, not dispersion, but higher than sapphires and rubies.
They
which
do.
I thought was super interesting because like they're at like what 1.75 and these were at like 1.88, like 1.
And you have one.
so-
You have some at 1.70. You have some at 1.89. I think for the Demantoid, you
Yeah.
can go pretty high, and you can go even over what we call the refractive limit on our machines. So when the sun goes over, we have to use alternative identification methods.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be one of the first video talking about this type. And I'm not talking about for the smartasses. I'm not talking about the raspberry blue color change garnet. I'm talking about a new discovery that was made in 2016.
Very cool.
It's a color change garnet, but it's not raspberry blue. It's a blue colored by vanadium for those that like chemical composition. And it changes color from blue to green blue. So it's the first in the world discovered blue garnet. Because before that, it was considered an impossible color for garnet, except for the raspberry blue color change. I don't have a lot of it. I don't have a big piece of it because I've never seen a bigger one than 4.5 millimeters, if that gives you an idea of the rarity of it.
Wow, okay.
But it's the rarest. It's the most expensive one.
Okay.
And we found 2 pockets of it. The 2 pockets are gone, so if you find it on the market, it's either a fake one or an old stock from 2017.
Okay, so there's nothing left. So what's
There's nothing
on
left.
the market is
On the market is what came out of the pockets.
Wow, okay.
And that one was, for the curious ones, the GIA, so the Color Gemstone Association GIA, the laboratory, did an article on them. And they had a few rough on hand to cut them, and it was my rough though, so that was fun.
Ooh, very cool.
So that one is the rarest of them all. You have 3 types of color change. You have the blue vanadium garnet, you have the raspberry blue, as we said, garnet, and we have the brownish here. It's a bit ugly. It's the ugly color change garnet that no one talks about and no one likes, but it's a collector's piece. This one you can't find it in big stones, and even the raspberry blue one, you can't find it in big stones today.
So
it's
everything
too
under
rare.
a carat, pretty much?
Everything under a carat.
Okay.
If you find bigger than 1 carat, it's gonna be easily, I'd say, in the $80,000 per carat for the raspberry and blue one. The blue vanadium one, I don't even know how much that would be because there's no
more inventory.
There's no more inventory on the market. And if you look at this one, it's small. It's a 3.5 millimeter stone, and it's already 900 per carat. And depending on the quality and on the color tone, because the bluer it is, the more expensive it is, you can have it up until 2,000 per carat for the smaller stones.
Okay. I'm actually surprised that it's that little. I would have expected more.
You can't find bigger than 4.5.
No, I'm talking about the price.
Oh, the price.
Because, I mean, if there's nothing left.
No. You have a deep saturated green color with flawless. So it has to be well cut, it has to be big, and it has to be green.
Yeah.
So that's the Tsavorite. And it's one of the favorite stones, or one of the favorite garnets of the jewelers today.
Oh, I love it. And honestly, I would recommend... This is maybe my preference, but I would actually choose Tsavorite over an emerald because I feel like an emerald oftentimes, unless if you're buying very high qualities at much higher price points, like they're always heavily included, they're a little bit more brittle, versus a Tsavorite has that very nice clarity, that vivid green, especially even just setting smaller stones. I feel like they pop a lot more. So,
and if you want an emerald with the same quality and the same saturation as the Tsavorite, you're going to pay more for the emerald than the Tsavorite.
100%.
And which one is harder? The Tsavorite. The Tsavorite is harder, it's less included, and it's easier to get in big sizes, and it's easier to get with deep saturated green. So, me too, it's an opinion. I'd prefer the Tsavorite over the emerald. Tsavorite, what you want to look for is a inclusion-free stone, high saturation, and big sizes. Because you can find a lot in the smaller sizes and it's not that expensive. But if you go into the 1 carat and more, then you can have $1,000 per carat, $2,000 per carat, easy for 1 or 2 carats only. So if you go into the 10 carats, you're going to have something of $60,000 per carat. And the second less rare garnet that we know is the rhodolite. So that's the purplish type.
It's very nice. I really like rhodolite. Yeah. And I think it comes in slightly different hues, like more like pink, and this one's a little bit more like raspberry purple.
Exactly. So you have the raspberry purple, you have the pinkish, you have all types of different tones to the purplish rhodolite, and you also have what we call in French pourpre. Pourpre.
Yeah.
So rhodolite is pretty nice. It's slightly more expensive than the Pyrope Almandine Garnet. It's not a rare type of garnet. You can also find it almost everywhere on the market, but it's a nice alternative for people that don't want the red color.
Yeah.
And if you don't want amethyst because you don't want to see that color ever again, like me, that's a nice alternative for purple.
I hate amethyst. It needs to be said. It just is such an unattractive stone. Yes.
That one is nicer, you know? And that color you can find in other gems, but it's not that...
but it's less expensive than spinel.
But it's less expensive than spinel. Yeah. So if you like the color in spinel, but you can find it in any other type of gemstone, garnet.
Yeah.
So as I said earlier, with the Demantoid, you can recognize it easily with the horsetail inclusion. You have the Pyrope Garnet with some needle inclusions. You have the Hessonite Garnet, well known in Canada because it's a gemstone that you can often find in Canada, and it has an inclusion named after Scotch. So it's called Scotch dans l'eau. So when you look into the stone, you're feeling like you're looking into alcohol.
So it's almost a little bit, not blurry, but...
It's a blurry stone. It's a blurry inclusion.
I know what you mean. Okay, like it's a syrupy look.
Exactly. Okay, and that's the Hessonite Garnet, and that's how you know which type of garnet it is. Okay. So the Hessonite Garnet is in the orange colors on the rainbow, and you have different qualities. So you have the clear, inclusion-free qualities, and then you have the milky qualities. So that's what I wanted to show you.
And so this is basically Spessartite.
This is basically, no, it's Hessonite.
It's not Hessonite, okay.
It's mixed in with Spessartite, and you can find some that are more Spessartite than Hessonite, but it's a different type.
Okay.
So basically, it's its own stone. So in Hessonite, the orange is going to be paler. It's going to be more peachy or orangey, but less saturated than the Spessartite here. But what you want is the clear quality here. It's shiny, it's symmetrical, it's clear. This is the high quality. If you see Hessonite with inclusions, or if a Scotch dans l'eau look, or milky look, it's not going to be as expensive. And Hessonite is not an expensive garnet, but it is a collector's piece, and it's a fun stone to have if you want to encourage local economy here in Canada. Yeah. And the prices for Hessonite go from maybe, 75 to 150 per carat, easily.
Okay.
So it's not an expensive stone to have, but it's a hard stone, and it's a good it's a good way to get local.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people do prefer the
higher quality.
Yeah.
It depends. Yeah. I like the milky look. Yeah. I mean, it's original. But if you go to Spessartite, same thing. You want the flawless look. It's gonna be a saturated orange, just like in my hand here. But if you get the milky look, it's gonna go down in value.
Yeah.
So
and I think it's hard to find higher clarity over 2 carats, I believe, right?
Yes, it's kind of hard to find.
Hard. Yeah.
The bigger you go in garnets, except for the rhodolite and the pyrope, the bigger you go in garnet, the more difficult it is to find flawless stones, and it's gonna get more expensive.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I think it's also they do value the color. Like if you have a very nice vivid orange, I think it's going to be still valued at a nice price, even though there are inclusions. Really cool I found about garnets is that they're not treated. Like these are the colors that they are naturally.
True.
They're not enhanced. So when you find like a very beautiful orange, like it's kind of cool that it just came out like that.
Exactly. Yeah. Garnet is rarely treated, if not at all. So it's one of the rare stones where you don't have to worry about treatments, heating, glass in the fissures. You don't have to worry about it.
That's because it's a finicky stone, I'm guessing. It doesn't take the treatments well.
It's not really finicky. It just it doesn't take the treatments. It doesn't take shit from anyone.
Very good.
It's a hard stone. It doesn't have a lot of inclusions normally, and it doesn't react well to treatments. If we go into the more normal colors, because we still have to just touch base with it, you have the Pyrope Almandine, and I keep saying the two words together because it's often mixed up. And it's the two types of garnet that are red that you see on the market. So here I just put a piece of rough that you can see. It's kind of normal. It looks like glass. And you can see the cut piece here. What you're looking for in that type of garnet is a beautiful red, because often people that don't have the money for ruby want to have a red garnet. It's a nice
alternative.
It's a nice alternative.
There are so many questions online about, is ruby a garnet?
No.
So, no, it's not.
It's a big no.
Yeah.
Ruby is a different stone, totally different. And a garnet is a garnet. But they're not even the same. They're not the same hardness. They're not the same look. As we said in another video, the ruby is going to have a slightly pinkish color to its red, or a slightly orangey look. But this one is more brownish red. Yeah. You can have an orangey red too when it's mixed in, as we said earlier, with Spessartite or other types of garnets, but it's often going to be this color, and you're not going to mix it with ruby. I made a list of the least expensive to the most expensive garnets, and for that I added a few types of garnets that we didn't talk about because it's not worth it, and it's not that well known, and you're not going to find it on the market. But the least expensive garnet, the winner, is melanite. And that's the black garnet. And that you can find it for $20 for 1 carat.
Pray God, you don't get that. Oh boy.
So that's a black stone.
Yeah.
Next one is going to be the same stone. It's going to be Pyrope and Almandine together. You're going to get, for 1 carat, average quality, about $60 per carat. Easy. So that's a not expensive stone, but it's hard. And then you have the Rhodolite, as we told earlier, the purplish color. You're going to find some, depending on the quality and color, $75 to $100 per carat for 1 carat. Then you have the Spessartite, which is the orange garnet we talked about. You're going to have from $200 to $300 per carat for a 1 carat stone. After that, and the same pricing, we have the Hessonite. So the Canadian Hessonite you can find, or you can find elsewhere in the world, also $200 to $300 per carat. And then you have the Rainbow Garnet that I forgot to mention. I'm going to put in the same place as Rhodolite. So it's a bit less expensive than Hessonite and Spessartite. Okay. I'm sorry about that. So it's $75 to $100 per carat. And then you go to the big boys. You start with the Tsavorite, so the green, forest green stone, no inclusions, beautiful 1 carat stone. You can easily go from 900 to 2,000 per carat for a 1 carat stone. Then you have the color change, raspberry to blue. You can find normal quality, so not the highest quality, normal quality 1 carat. You can be from $900 also to $2,000 per carat. So same as a Tsavorite. You have the Demantoid, depending if it has a horsetail. So we're going to say a nice 1 carat horsetail in the middle of the table stone. You're going to go from 1,000 to 5,000 per carat. Yeah. Depending on how it's formed, how it's shaped, if the color is beautiful and everything. And the most expensive garnet of all, the Vanadium blue garnet. And that one you're going to be easy for 1 carat that I didn't find. You're going to go into 3,000 easy per carat. Yeah. So
I'm surprised it's that little. That seems like to me like a collector's stone.
It's a collector's stone.
It would be a lot more than that. Yeah.
It's a collector's stone, but it's an interesting stone, and I wanted to talk about it because it's going to be the first time you talk about it in video on YouTube. Yeah. I've never seen other people do an interview about it, so I thought it was interesting.
Really cool. Yeah.
It's a nice discovery, and it's a recent discovery, so 2016.
That's new. I mean, I feel like all the gems have pretty much already been discovered at this point, right?
And it's not. They're not. And GIA did the article in 2017, so we waited about a year holding our breath.
Very cool.
So that's it for the least expensive to most expensive. Lastly, what I wanted to talk to you about is a lot of people say that there's no synthetic garnets. There is. It's just old. You don't see it on the market today. It was really popular 50 to 30 years ago. The name of the YAG is Yttrium Aluminum Garnet. And it's the closest you have to synthetic garnet, but the hardness is different than the normal garnets. So where the normal garnets, as we said, go from 6.5 to 7.5, the YAG goes to 8.5 in hardness. You can have all the colors of the rainbow. It's going to be flawless, no inclusions most of the time. It has a higher density, so it's really a heavy piece if you want to take it out.
Yeah.
And it was used mainly to imitate diamonds.
I'd love to know which ones is your favorite down below. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Larianne.
Thank you.
If ever you guys are wanting to make some custom garnets, you can always send us an email. The links are down below. My name is Sonic Flex, and see you next time.
See you.